Good morning, everyone. Mars has always had kind of a special place for humans. Over the centuries, people have speculated whether life could be on Mars, Martians invading and so on. Well, it was on this date, August 6, in 2012, that one of the many Martian rovers landed on the planet. Its name was Curiosity. Here's the lineup of the planets, and you can see that we are third from the Sun, and Mars is fourth from the Sun. So Mars is our neighbor. And like us, Mars has ice. It has ice caps, which get bigger and smaller as time goes by. And there are other similarities between Earth and Mars. And in the mid-1800s, telescopes were pretty popular. Many people thought they could see canals on Mars. And here's a drawing of what those canals might be. So if there are canals, that means there might be water and there might be people. And it was also in the 1800s we have what we think is the first book about travel to Mars. It's called Across the Zodiac, 1880. And the plot has astronauts going up to Mars and seeing evidences of civilization. And then in 1891, this book came out, The Man from Mars, in which a Martian who was very advanced and very wise came to our planet and talked about what he saw. Well, in 1897, The War of the Worlds came out. This was a book by H.G. Wells. Orson Welles later did a radio broadcast. There have been many movie versions of this. I remember reading a comic of it when I was younger. Pretty fascinating. In 1965, NASA sent up Mariner 4. This is the first spacecraft to do a flyby of Mars. So it didn't land on Mars, but it was able to take lots of pictures, and this proved that there are no canals in Mars. But it offered quite a few interesting things to think about. And then, 1971, Mariner 9 became the first spacecraft to orbit Mars. So this led to more and more photography and understanding of what the planet looked like. 1975 and 76, the Viking craft went up to Mars. These were not rovers, but they did land on the planet. And the rovers came, the first one in 1997, Sojourner, that little cutie up there. Then Spirit Opportunity came, and then our event, Curiosity, 2012, August 6, landed on Mars to rove around a little bit. So the spacecraft carrying Curiosity entered the Martian atmosphere protected by a heat shield, and then a large parachute deployed to slow the descent. Then the heat shield was jettisoned, and about 60 feet above the surface, the descent stage, which is now called the sky crane, was deployed. It's about 60 feet above the surface, and the reason it dropped it on the planet's surface and didn't use airbags is because it had a lot of complicated equipment and it was very heavy. For instance, on the back you can see the nuclear reactor that powered it, and then it had all these scientific instruments for measuring chemicals and minerals and what the soil was like and what the air was like. Can we live on Mars? That was the big question. Well, Hollywood thought so. At least we can go to Mars. In 1951, Flight to Mars came out, which astronauts went up to Mars to, poke around a little bit. And then you may recall seeing this one in 1990, Total Recall, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger had to go to Mars and discover stuff, and there was a cover-up and really wicked people. Notice it's all red here, the red planet. And then in 2013, in the last days on Mars, the astronauts found bacteria that could threaten all of humankind. So scary. But this one was a great movie. 2015, Matt Damon was stranded on Mars and had to stay alive until he got rescued. So that leads us with the question, can we live on Mars? I guess we'll have to wait and see.